Welcome back to another episode of the Blockburner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, dude?
On the sticks, we got TJ.
Hello.
Congrats, TJ, another championship winner here.
That's right.
Dude, thanks for bringing
Real
that aura.
Yeah,
Exactly. Real life aura around you, dude. And we need
to be around more winners.
Clearly, because I mean, it's tough.
Just for everybody watching, we're talking about 8U baseball.
Well, explain what that is, because I don't think most people
8 years and under.
Oh, okay.
8-year-olds and
8U
younger.
makes a lot of sense, dude.
Yeah, it
8U.
does. 8U.
I thought it meant something completely different for whatever reason. 8 and under, but you just got promoted, didn't you? To like
Yes, sir.
9 and under, but the kid we're highlighting here is only 7.
Yeah, it's true.
That's fucking bonkers, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that means
You got the next Pujols right here.
the next. Damn it, dude. I need baseball
Need
names.
more baseball
Yeah.
names, yeah.
Fuck,
It's
they're
like
there.
the next Babe Ruth.
Some dated references, huh?
That's all I got, dude. But that's pretty sick, dude. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Even though it's 8U, still the culture and the manifestation of winning.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right? And
Yeah.
you know, it's if you're not trying to do that, then what the fuck are you actually doing with your time?
It's
right?
it's good to have like a competitive mentality. Otherwise, it's hard to survive if you don't have that.
Yeah, even if you're like a gamer, right? I
Yeah, 100%.
when I was a gamer, like a hardcore one.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I guess. Still hop on the Halo sticks from time to time.
That's right.
But even when I do that, it's like it's always in the mindset of winning.
Yeah.
I'm not having fun unless like there's signs of traction of improvement to get to do more winning, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's games are great because if you're not like physically gifted, as I'm not, you know, the realm of athletics typically is like the realm of like winners and losers.
Right.
But with gaming, it's like now
Anybody can do it.
anybody can have that like that dopamine, right?
Yeah, they have MLG, Major League Gaming.
I don't know if they have that anymore. Actually, to be honest, yeah, they
Are
probably
you serious?
do. No,
Yeah, I'll have to check on that one.
because I don't. Maybe it's because I haven't been paying attention. Like
It
it
has
used to be on my fucking radar like all the time, right?
Well, what about Dota? Isn't that part of MLG?
No,
No, that's their own
its
event.
That's
thing.
its own thing. But it's
Yeah.
still like
MLG was like COD and.
oh, okay.
and
Nope,
like,
it's Dunskies since
Oh.
January 2024.
Wow, we're a year late, dude.
Didn't you see the MLG meme coin, dude?
Oh, that's right.
Pull up that chart just so we can
Okay.
really really stew in the death of MLG here, because that was a staple of my adolescence.
Yeah.
I aspired to be like MLG bound.
Right.
Never could get that good, unfortunately. So, but still, there it is.
24-hour volume. Yeah, it's got to be this one.
You gotta click on the chart and actually see the devastation here.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Wow,
That's painful, ain't it?
that looks like an M.
Yeah, M for max pain, I guess. I don't know. With that wick there up that looked like it was gonna go to the moon. That was when they went on like a Twitch stream with like
Phase.
Aiden Ross or something.
Oh yeah, Aiden Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole what do you call them? The LA Vape Cabal kids.
Yeah.
They went on there trying to like really pump this thing, and it pumped, but then that was literally the last beat
Right.
left.
So it went from 240 million to current day 6 million.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah. So that's
That was like a month ago, maybe a month or two ago.
yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, so velocity in the meme coin space is definitely it's terrifying, dude. This is not for the faint of heart, you know.
Yeah. So the question is like, could things like this return? Because I see people actively buying this like right now.
Well, go to the left of it. Look, it returned because it was dead at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Basically that.
So to answer your question, like absolutely, things can still come back. Look at that. That's like it looks like it's. I would call that like dead right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
This
pump
is
and dump.
this is April 2024, dude.
Yeah. It's like nothing's happening. And
And then swoosh.
then like FaZe Banks, I think, is like, you know what? I like MLG, you know. I
Yeah.
got some history there. Pumps it, a couple tweets, a couple dibs, a couple dabs.
Damn, that's
Yeah,
crazy, dude.
You got a crazy meme coin here, right? And then
Wow.
you don't anymore. That's crypto for you guys. That's pretty much it. I don't think Wall Street has produced a psychology chart for this type of. I don't know if there is a psychology chart, like a psychologist on Earth that can like
Analyze
quantify, analyze this, and like pin like psychology here. This is just pure like euphoria and pain only.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the only two emotions. This is like, it's too fast for our brains to handle.
Yeah. So this is January 2025. And then at its death nail, February. So 1 month.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you don't even have time to like really build any real conviction, like a real belief around anything. It's, like in the same way you do with Bitcoin.
Correct.
Or
yeah.
something like that. Right.
Comfy old Bitcoin.
It's pretty comfortable.
That's a token you can sleep at night with.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, this chart represents sleepless times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's again not for the faint of heart, right?
Yeah.
Why did we bring that up again? I forgot. Oh yeah,
MLG.
winner. We're all winners, right?
Yeah, no, competitive.
Except holders of the MLG token, you're not winners.
Oh no, dude.
No.
You're winners in spirit, I guess.
But we got some people buying 79 cents worth though. So that's quite the risk.
They're gonna make it. It's quite. I don't know, man. They must know something we don't.
Clearly. That's like a Hail Mary play for this individual.
You think so?
79 cents.
It's on his last dollar.
Yeah, let's do 100x here. $79.
You're still fucked. I don't care what corner of the world you're from, dude. It's like you're still not making it, I guess.
Yeah, well, anyway, so yeah, congrats to you and your family, TJ. That's a good win.
Thank you.
We want to see more of that.
Yeah, we need as much aura as we can get because we need Nat to win, right?
Yeah, we do.
We've set some pretty high goals, publicly and internally, because we've added like an FAQ down here because we keep getting like, inquiries from like people like, what is the value thesis here?
Mm-hmm.
How valuable can Nat become? Stuff like that. So we have to like really think about it a lot, right? Because initially Nat had its like value proposition as like, it was started off as like a demonstration token for the DMT protocol.
Yeah.
That literally is what made it come into existence.
Right.
Right. But based on its like innate properties, based on this non-arbitrary pattern within the bits field, like it has like a lot of intrinsic new value properties that, in combination with the minor redirect, it just happens to be one of like the more likely candidates to, achieve this multi-cycle, like, value over time, addressing one of the potential bigger problems in the context of Bitcoin. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so what does that mean? What's the value capture potential for that?
Yeah, so definitely watch our previous video that came out, was it maybe Wednesday?
Either Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. Where we talk about the NAS token specifically.
Right.
Yeah. And so in that video, we were discussing like what is the value thesis, like you're saying. And so my approach was like, okay, if digital items tend to be 10x the valuation of its like physical counterpart, let's say like you have physical gold versus digital gold, it's always 10 times more valuable in the digital realm.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why that is, but it's been consistent like throughout.
It's got to be like access, right?
Access, yeah. Like
everything's so much more accessible in the digital space. Like,
yeah, remember like we used to take photos with these like cameras, like these box cameras, and like you have to get them developed and all this stuff.
Correct.
Like there's probably 1,000 times, 10,000 times more photos digitally than there are at the rate of production than there are like the physical photos, right? So, so that's just like one small example of like that playing out physical to digital, right? So gold being valued at 20 trillion right now, 10x that's 200 trillion. That's the value of Bitcoin. And if we have gold and silver being 10 times less valuable than gold, then you're looking at a $20 trillion asset here in the NAT token.
Yeah.
Long term, obviously, not this year.
Definitely not this year. Yeah, because people who've been asking, they want to know in the context of this year. in my mind, I think $1 billion target is sensible, right? We've seen plenty of examples of meme coins with close to zero, if not zero substance to them.
Zero substance, yeah.
Okay. Actually achieve those goals, right? So I think the only thing lacking or missing in the context of that is more infrastructure support, more access to liquidity.
Yeah, and that's because this is a new token. This is a new token class, right? These are non-arbitrary tokens. This is something that's never happened before. That's why there's a lot of friction. It's not like a ERC-20, smart contract.
Yeah, exactly, which has a whole industry now supporting these standards, right? Because
almost, what is it, 10 years?
Something like that. We're in the realms of many, many, many years of development around this stuff, right? These new frameworks. So DMT, about a year old, maybe a little bit longer than that. Bitcoin ecosystem still finding its own legs and its own vectors of viability. So, but again, typically, these are the things you want to pay attention to and be present around, right? Because they present
an
big opportunity.
Yeah, so we've talked about this in the past before. It's in the early days of Bitcoin, it was very difficult to buy, and that friction really turned people away. And they're like, no, I don't want to, do this work to get this asset.
Yeah.
And so that costed a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah, so we're working through all that, piece by piece. It's going to take some time, but, this is, again, $1 billion achieved can happen pretty quickly, I think. The market has proven that, right?
Yeah, with enough access, it could definitely do that.
Yeah, and I think with that, it's that's what you need to have enough of a critical bypass that wave of or that wall of inertia to where whenever the market inevitably crashes after this cycle, certain aspects or tokens or projects, whatever, they still have their credibility or their longevity persist even through those winter phases, right?
Yeah, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't go up forever, right? It goes up, there's a cycle peak, and then it goes down for 2 years, 2-3 years.
Yeah, but that's Bitcoin. It's harder to achieve in the altcoin space, which an altcoin is basically anything but Bitcoin, right?
True, yes.
Is it?
Yes.
By definition?
Yeah, yep.
Because I hear people saying altcoin
in the context of Ethereum,
or I don't know, it's in the context of an altcoin cycle or whatever, right? It's people are still waiting for that to happen.
Alt season?
Yeah, altcoin season, as if the AI token stuff, meme coins, they don't fit in within that category.
Really?
That's how I'm interpreting it. It's because
I think altcoins would include that.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. But nonetheless, so it's for altcoins to achieve that multi-cycle sustained relativity, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's objectively very hard to do. Because I could recall some coins from a couple cycles ago, important stuff, I don't know, a Monero or something, a privacy coin.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, well, the guy's in prison now, isn't he?
That's true. He is, yeah, because he tax evasion.
Yeah, that's a tough one to bypass.
Yeah.
If your founder is locked up. Well, I mean, fucking Bitcoin's founder's probably dead.
Yeah.
Or wasn't human to begin with, so.
He's an alien for sure.
Yeah, if Bitcoin Cash has any sustainability, it should do fine without Roger, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thesis is to use cryptocurrency to make payments. That was the original white paper, right? And so,
for Bitcoin Cash?
For Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
Peer-to-peer cash, and then Bitcoin Cash was we can do it better, and they forked
with what, a bigger block, right?
Yeah, with bigger blocks. Yeah.
So but my point is that was huge in 2017, not so huge today. So
yeah, so let's talk about other tokens that have oscillated that are pretty big.
That would have to only be from the 2017 class, right? Because
yeah,
and in the 2020 cycle, they must have outperformed their 2017
peaks.
Peaks.
Yeah, which would be Decentraland was one. It peaked at 20 cents.
Yeah, but
and then it went to $5.
Yeah, I don't know if I would classify that yet as an oscillator. We need
there's one more confirmation for sure.
Needed?
Yeah, needed for Decentraland.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's the case for a lot of things. We need to see NFTs. They did very well in their first cycle of introduction. We need to see NFTs do something.
Yeah, that's true.
Outpace their growth from last cycle.
Yeah, is the NFT concept like potentially not an oscillator? Like the whole ecosystem just doesn't oscillate, just like actually died? Is that like a reasonable thing you would expect from NFTs? Like I wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm expecting a resurgence of NFTs at some point.
Yeah. Same. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to like reinvent some new like killer use case for them.
Yeah.
In the same sense, like we still see the continuation of altcoins like every cycle. They the overall market cap continues to grow and accelerate for altcoins, but now they're just labeled as meme coins and such. And so NFTs, you should be able to do like JPEGs more, right? More JPEGs.
I would think so. It's just more memes if that's what the people want this cycle.
Maybe. I don't know. It's maybe you do need some new novel mechanism though. Like, pump.fun did introduce like some novelties, right? Like some systemic like
for sure
contributions that make like
100%
altcoinery like
more viable,
more robust, like easier onboarding into the market, frictionless experiences, stuff like that, right? So NFTs probably needs like its own pump.fun like moment. Right?
Yeah. You asked me to listen to a part of Bankless interview with Elon, the founder of pump.fun, and it was certainly interesting. And I think you're right. I think NFTs need some sort of like innovation that help it create some sort of viability test for NFTs, right? Because when in the heyday of pump.fun, they were launching roughly 23,000 tokens per day.
Yeah.
Which is insane. So crazy.
Yeah. So people are questioning, like, is this good? Is this bad? The more we spend our time doing our own due diligence on like, what's happening in the market, whether it's on Base or on Sonic, on Ethereum, whatever.
In what context would launching 23,000 tokens be bad? So is it because you're like bifurcating liquidity and like there's only so much liquidity to? Because I don't even think that's even a proper question. That's why I'm asking.
It depends on like the interpretation of like optimal market dynamics, I guess. It's like,
I guess
this amount of velocity of like, injection. Yeah, you're definitely like it would move, like liquidity has to move around quickly, right?
Yeah, so that could be considered a bad thing because there was a certain stretch in pump.fun's like run that people were, I guess, live streaming themselves, like light themselves on fire.
Yes, they were.
Like hold a gun to like a kid.
Yeah.
And threatening people to like pump a token or else, right? So that's definitely going down a path of not good. But then they stopped that, and then that's essentially once they stopped that, that's when numbers started going down.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely a top indicator for sure. So it's a question of market dynamics, like the degree of degeneracy that these types of environments bring into play, and the Bankless guys I think did a pretty good job at like trying to address some of that, like. I don't think you watched that portion of it where
Probably
it's like
not.
he asked Elon, is like, the design considerations for pump.fun itself. Clearly it was inspired by like 4chan, right? And if you do like a side-by-side comparison, they're pretty similar looking.
Yeah.
Aesthetically.
Sure.
And it's like, that was like an intentional decision, right? Because it's like we assumed, a lot of the OG cult memes, they originated from 4chan. So, you kind of want to like attract that demographic of user into our platform by giving them like a sensibly similar like interface.
Yeah,
right?
I find it interesting that it was intentional because of that, like 4chan sort of ethos.
Yeah, the thesis being it's like, that's going to attract the highest like density of degeneracy. And it worked, right? It definitely did, but then like the unintended consequence of that is like now we got like the darkness of like 4chan in crypto. People, hanging themselves, faking their deaths, whatever.
4chan is not a place where you like look for positivity.
I mean, 4chan has its use, right?
Yeah, I remember in the context of crypto that they made like pretty solid calls, like Uniswap. No, Chainlink. Yeah.
Well, not just calls, but they also like aggregated the right call to actions and like
Yeah, they formed the memes.
Created the brand appeal through memery and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that's largely what you're going to credit the success of Chainlink, other than it's like technical, fundamental value add and such.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see that happening like to the graph, right?
Correct, yeah.
Which 4chan did not like.
Yeah, gravitate to that.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of like a discrepancy there, right? So, yeah, it was this interesting interview across the board. But the thing that really interests us is like the tail end of it, the more like creator focused side of things. Like, how do you evolve what we've seen happen, like with pump.fun or whatever, to a much more like sustainable direction, productive even?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the timeline specifically because we had talked about like theorizing this concept of leveraging the DEX's volume, liquidity, and fees and directing that to the creators. So I don't know if that's like a concept that's been sort of moving around in Twitter.
Yeah, I don't even know if have we ever like publicly talked about that?
Well, I think we have in Twitter Spaces.
But like not in a video yet.
Yeah, not specifically. and we've been pretty vague in the Twitter Spaces just because we're still trying to figure out the details.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the whole idea is if there's a ton of volume in the DEX, you can direct that volume, sort of like our experience of directing the NAT token to miners. Instead of directing the fee volume to liquidity providers, you send that to the creator of the token to incentivize them. So what this yields is you launch a token that's free, and then the creator of the token and the community are aligned to kind of like push the token. So the creator develops something, and the people who onboarded to the token, they bought at the lowest possible price. And so now everyone's incentivized to, contribute here.
Yeah, it's like if the pathway to like monetization is like no longer just, a portion of the supply for the token deployer or the creator, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so expect at some point if the intention is to, extract or however you want to call it, monetize.
Yeah.
They're going to have to sell that portion.
Yeah. Which
at some point,
which is counter to the community.
Yeah. It typically is like a signal to like exit, right? Yeah. It's like, the dev no longer has faith or conviction or for whatever reason is now like extracting. It's like a signal to follow suit, right? And you've lost a lot of confidence in the token and guess what? MLG, right?
That's right.
Chart ends up looking like that. So it's like, what is the proper mechanic to incentivizing token devs to stick around for the long run, right? Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. If like a token dev knows, it's like, the more I contribute as far as like whether galvanizing community, whether it's like fostering more social engagement or just iterating on like some kind of actual product.
Yeah.
Like that's going to bring bullish sentiment over time to this token. And then that means more squiggly line, more volume,
more fees to the creator,
fees to me. Right.
Yeah.
And it's aligned with like the existing ethos. Cause you could do this for NFTs even, which is what we're trying to figure out, like in the context of ordinals and DMT collections and stuff like that. Cause we have a new protocol in the DMT protocol with UNATs and such, where we can essentially weaponize these mechanics across the board, right? And have like a systemic model for sustainable creation. And even to the degree where you don't have to charge upfront for this stuff, which we've observed is like a big problem, right? A high degree of friction in the space. Unless you happen to like, dress people up in wizard costumes at conferences and such, then you could charge whatever you want. Right?
Yeah, clearly. We've seen that.
Yeah, there's a guy out there or a couple who somehow have like the market, mind controlled to justify any reasonable price for their art launch, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's a separate...
Put on this clown costume and then you can buy my asset for half the price.
Yeah, so long as you swim with me in the pools and stuff like that. It's pretty weird.
Yeah,
but who cares? That's what's happening over there. But that's not.
But that is community engagement. That's community, like just like being part of the community. That's what you do, right?
Sure. Why not? Right? Why not do that? I remember Frank DeGods. He came up doing similar shit.
That's like right. Mogging, right?
Well, like. I don't know, like drinking beer out of like a shoe at conferences, showing up with like the biggest sausage brigade and like,
Yeah.
scuffing up the floors at the ETH Denvers and such,
Sure.
and inspiring, people to like, what these guys are creating is like important, right? And then
Yeah, I remember.
fast forward a couple of years, the guy's literally in hiding.
Yeah.
I
I remember us having that conversation. It was like, man, what do we need to do is like tell everybody to drink out of their shoe.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that has to be it.
It's like, yeah, guys. So shoes coming soon. It's like a shoe plus like alcohol package. So we gotta get a liquor license too to really like get this going, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously that's not the answer, right? And these are outlier scenarios, right? A Frank the Gods or an Udi or a FaZe Banks, whatever. These are hyper influential people.
Yeah.
So of course they could do basically whatever they want,
because they're always going to. Their audience is so large that they can do anything, and it's always going to appeal to like a small percentage, which ends up being like thousands of people.
Yeah, a couple thousand of like these are the diehard people who spend 16 hours a day on crypto Twitter. It's like of course they're gonna vibe with what it is you have to offer, because they're gonna get to like flex that on crypto Twitter among their peers. It's like, and then if it goes right and one of these things end up becoming like Bored Apes big, then that actually gives you like social credit, like for real. Like last cycle, people who had Bored Apes as a PFP, they actually like ran the show. It's like their opinions actually, the value of their opinions like 100x.
Yeah,
just because you simply had a $300,000 PFP, right?
Right.
It's pretty crazy. But
yeah, I mean, and their opinion did matter because they were able to see something that you did not. And so therefore what they say has some weight to it.
That is the interpretation, right?
Yeah.
Like imagine Bitmap becomes like a $1 trillion asset in the future. And like I still hold 100.bitmap by like some miracle.
Yeah.
It's like I'm still holding, guys, like 20 years later. Wait, no, it shouldn't take $1 trillion market cap. Maybe 10 years later.
Yeah.
If contingent on Bitmap becoming like the settlement metaverse layer of like the world, which could happen, right?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. So like I feel like with that, even though I can't really represent that bitmap in like PFP format, I still have it in my
square.
Yeah, it's just a square.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just add 100 on it.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden people would think I'm God, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like the thesis of like people don't listen to what you say until you drive a Lambo or a Ferrari or whatever. It's like it's that same thing, but in digital like realm.
Yeah, so that's like the ultimate chase when it comes to creating digital stuff, right? And then creating markets around that. But still, we need systemic models that support all tiers of creation from from the tippity top of like,
major influencers, giga influencers to
the tippity bottoms of like just experimenters,
people who are super creative and they come up with something cool.
The hungry artists out there. Yeah. There's a ton of them. And this market, this space has basically left them behind, I'd say.
Yeah.
Which is
probably why we're not seeing a whole lot of creativity happening in the space.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of cool new things.
Yeah.
Just really nothing to get excited about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so we got to get back to that alignment of like supporting creators, developers, whatever, at like the root.
Yeah.
That's the big objective.
So just to summarize everything that we talked about. So like what is the main takeaway? What is the thesis is like if you develop a platform or a platform that incentivizes creators through not directly funding the creators by purchasing art or purchasing tokens. Instead, you incentivize the creator and the community to launch a token in a way where the act of purchasing the token itself goes to fund the creator to do that thing, that app, that art, whatever.
Yeah, which introduces some new, like, interesting optional possibilities, right? Because at the end of it, if you leverage the powers of like meme coin viability testing through like bonding curves and such and achieving market thresholds.
Yeah.
That is essentially your signal from the market that like this initiative, this project, whatever.
Yeah.
This concept, this idea, it's worth existing in this market environment, right?
That's right. Yeah. So the way that it would work is you have that viability test or bonding curve. If it reaches that threshold, that means that there's enough fees based on the bonding curve trading to seed liquidity to that fungible token. And so what we're thinking is using that mechanic, but in the context of DMT, where let's say an artist wants to launch art with a fungible token that gets seeded upon, meeting that threshold. And then once that threshold is met, everyone gets the art. So you have essentially two tokens. You have the NFT art, the PFP project, or whatever it is, and you have a fungible token so that you have like a dual token ecosystem birthed in one transaction.
Yeah. So it's like the means and mechanisms of distributing the actual art itself, that is like the novel application here, right?
Yeah.
Because so far we haven't seen too many platforms like attempt to do that, right? Because you may be introducing some like holder distribution concerns there, right? Because that's what we were faced with earlier on in our Mscribe days. It's like, open and free UNAT launches, after the success of Nat Cats, these launches were highly concentrated, right? And that's what led to the development of Priv Authority.
Yeah.
And these block pad mints where you can kind of control the dynamics of like holder distribution.
Correct.
So in the light of like distributing an asset after the events of like achieving a viability mechanism with a meme coin.
Yeah.
It's like now you have like a new problem to solve potentially, right?
Yeah. I feel like that has been the history of cryptocurrency, is that you come up with this new standard, let's say ERC20, and like you launch that and you see problems with it. Like for example, NFTs, ERC 721s, there's no built-in way to have royalties as part of the smart contract. There's no way to do it.
That's shocking to me.
Right.
There has to be another standard out there.
So I think there is.
Yeah,
I think there is. But that's a problem. Like the original development of ERC 721 didn't take that into consideration. And so crypto has been a series of like launching things, figuring out it doesn't work, then, iterating on top of that.
Which is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. This is the only way to do it.
This is the only way to do that. So, yeah, and that's the whole purpose of like keeping up with what's going on in the crypto space, right? Which that's why this podcast and this YouTube channel serves us so well, because if we're going to continue to build like cool apps, cool products in crypto, we need to know like what is the frontier of like new primitives that come into the market.
Yeah.
Which, that's, pump.fun really made us realize like
100%.
Bonding curves is an essential primitive specifically for like aiding like, again, like this bottom tranche of like the creator ecosystem that is completely underserved.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were mentioning that Elon said that he got that idea from Friendster, or wait, was it a
Friendtech?
Friendtech. Yeah.
That's Friendster. That sounds familiar too. That's probably like a MySpace clone or something.
Yeah. Web 2 thing.
Yeah. Sounds familiar, right, TJ?
It sure does.
Yeah.
It's like back in the Zanga days. It's like, should I make a Zanga or a Friendster?
Yeah.
I think that's where that's
I think it's like a MySpace, Facebook type deal.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, so Friendtech leveraged the bonding curve. And I remember looking at it at the time, I was like, there's no way this is going to work, because you're onboarding to a bonding curve that doesn't like seed liquidity to anything. It was just like you bought a token on based off of like the persona behind that token, and then that was it.
Yeah, and there was like
there's no end game to that.
Yeah, and there was like a brute force utility too, right? Like
oh yeah, you got access to like a private chat.
Basically.
Yeah.
It was tokens, so like the brute force like speculative value per like the app is like access to some like alpha group or whatever.
You know what that did do is the launcher of a Friendtech token ended up generating income from that. Remember, anytime people bought, they were called stocks, right? Yeah,
shares or stocks.
Shares. They were called shares.
Maybe, yeah.
And then they changed it to keys.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
So anyway, when people bought your keys, you as the creator ended up generating income from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a pretty cool thing, but it just wasn't long-term sustainable, because why would anybody buy your keys at the top of the curve? Like, you would just wait for it to come down, and then you'd buy it, and then, by then it's like probably dead.
So that then they were missing like the second part of the equation, right?
Yeah.
It's like the top is like the introduction of a whole new layer of a market.
So now, this is actually a pretty good thing for Friendtech to do, is like, now it reaches that market cap, and then it sees liquidity on whatever, let's say Uniswap.
Now you got social tokens all over again.
You do, right?
Which the thing you think is like the dumbest thing in the world, right?
Well, the way that Rally.io did it was dumb because it was like, here's my social token, get my social token so you can buy my shirt. Like, that's like, why? Just send me Bitcoin or ETH.
Yeah, I guess the underlying issue between Rally and Friendtech was that brute forcing of like a utility, right?
Yeah.
Around the social fi aspect of like the market, because like it seems like a very credible expectation. Like, if we're gonna tokenize everything at some point, which it seems like all roads are leading to that reality.
Yeah.
The more we kind of like explore this cycle.
Yeah, check out our video where Project Zora is tokenizing every post.
Yeah, and it's not just Zora. Zora, yeah, it's like there's subs.fun now. They're going to be tokenizing subforums like Reddit. I saw one today called opinions.fun. So like you could kind of like create an opinion or like an idea and like tokenize it. And
I don't think that's a crazy idea because it's sort of like Polymarket. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and like the meme coin format of it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe making it, I don't know, more aligned again with like what this cycle is about and, the future of the market dynamics and such. But there's others like, Dripster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That one's interesting where you're like tokenizing like essentially design concepts.
Yeah, AI products.
Yeah, it's a product launch, but like if it achieves enough market viability through these like mechanisms we're talking about, like bonding curve to a mature DEX trading environment, essentially. Like that, those are the determinations of viability for a product. And in this case, they're dealing with like probably the most difficult of product to like fulfill, like a physical one.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta not only convince the market like this is a cool product or build like a meme campaign around it or whatever it is that rallies people to push that buy button over sell.
Sure. Now you got to deal with the logistics of sending physical products to people all over the world.
Yeah, man. It sounds great. I'm hoping Dripster pulls it off.
Yeah. I think it can be done as long as the infrastructure is there, like the distribution to every single country.
They do have that background, right? If they've been doing this in the Web 2 context for however long, and they distribute, so that maybe they've built that distribution network properly. So I don't know.
That would be the right way to do it. Like, so already have the network.
Yeah, if they started off without that, then there'd be some huge red flags, right? Like, dude, good luck.
Yeah, or it's like, here's the platform, here's all the products. We cannot send any items to Turkey or North Korea or whatever, right?
Yeah. So in the case of that, like new application of like these newly discovered primitives, it's like to be determined, right? Because there's a lot of wrinkles of like proof of concept that still need to kind of like, be proven out. But in the context of our application, I think we can get there pretty sensibly soon, right? Because, DMT is objectively something cool, something new, and we've already experienced like proof that there's market demand, at least in the context of the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But something like this, like wrapping what DMT is as like a asset issuance protocol native to Bitcoin, and then now like injecting these superpower mechanisms that we've discovered.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it viable for like the entire market, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and this is like trying to understand what the market is gravitating towards and building around it, because the whole market is aware of the context of history, right? We've seen what happened in 2017 with ICOs, 2021 with NFTs, and how it basically left people holding a bag. And so now memes garnered its traction and momentum because it was counter to that. And so now the idea is like, how do you fund the creators using this alignment where you don't directly fund creators? Instead, you do it kind of like on the back end with volume, right, and fees. And so that is what Elon is talking about with his new Pump Swap, right? The Pump Swap platform, which is their own DEX, which funds the devs or the creators of a token with fees from the volume of that DEX.
Yeah, which we've already seen work on the base side of the ecosystem, right? With Clinker.
Yeah.
We interviewed developers at Flaunch.
Yeah.
So there's already that like ecosystem alignment, at least from base. Now with Elon kind of like reiterating like similar ethos, like in the context of Solana, I think that's going to send like a much brighter beacon of a signal. It's like, you know what, this is where we need to be directing our development focus moving forward, is like, you know, anchoring the success of these platforms, these apps, whatever.
Yeah.
The discovery of like optimal product market fit through all these like multitude of iterations of that. It's like directing that to creators. Like, I think that's how we achieve longevity, and not like this boom and bust cycle we just kind of went through. That's like, it's astronomical how like fast that was, like how quickly we all kind of like were in alignment.
Blindsided with like the whole meme concept, and then like the sheer amount of volume it garnered. Yeah,
to the point where Trump and countries were launching coins and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fucking that is crazy. We had country coins.
President coins, dude. Trump.
Yeah, presidents were just being sucked into this thing. Like, it's like a black hole, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that, like, you're probably thinking, like, the question is like, why would you fund meme deployers? Well, it's not specifically meme deployment that you're funding, it's creator deployment. So you could practically create anything and launch a token through this mechanism, and if people are aligned with what you're building, they'll buy your token, and therefore fees and volume go to your wallet as a creator.
Yeah, so what is the actual like outlook from this? For sure, most likely you're gonna have like majority still be like,
yeah, the majority. It's easier to launch a meme because you don't have to do anything.
Or even if you launch, like, you can have projects being like, you know, we're starting off as a meme.
Yeah.
You know, build culture and community and such, but, you know, we can iterate further from there as, like, you know, it gains in popularity. Therefore, a steam injection of liquidity to like the foundation or whatever. And now we can like iterate on whatever, right? We could create new value vectors from that. Like, I'm going to work on a DEX on Bitcoin. Like, that's a lot of people who have invested in RSIC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, RSIC just announced like their what do they do? Oh, at block 888.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember
888. They announced something. They were like hyping it up, teasing. It's like, we're going to shock the world at this block.
Mm-hmm.
And all it was like, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing for the last year. So keep those miners chugging along.
Yeah, nothing
basically. And people were pissed.
Yeah.
Because they were assuming it's like, dude, like, they were going to build something of substance at some point, right?
Yeah.
Because the market actually wants people to fulfill and deliver on value. Like, do something, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we'll support your token. We'll buy into your meme. We'll buy into your mystery narratives and all this shit. And we'll pump this thing. And therefore, like, you can sell these miners or whatever, make your money, make your get, keep 10% of the supply, and like exit on us over the course of a year.
Yeah.
You can do that. It's fine.
As long as you produce something.
Yeah, we'll be your exit liquidity, but please do something.
Yeah.
I feel like the market's crying at this point, dude, for like somebody to actually like show up and do something, right?
Yeah, and I think that's part of what inspired the podcast, is that there was a lot of something's being done in crypto. We were like interested. Mm-hmm. It's like, what else is going to be done next? And this cycle has been largely not a whole lot of substance.
Yeah. So the hope is, okay, now with more like long-term sustainability, I'm making the prediction, like, this is going to become systemic on all chains. And
we're seeing evidence of such too.
Right. That's what, we're following the trends, and it's only getting bigger and more obvious, right? So, but still, the majority of people won't deliver on anything, but because of this new injection of a mechanic that's more long-term focused, there will be some like actual substance deliverers at the tail end of that, which in aggregation is like a net gain for the space, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I feel like humans want to build stuff, like inherently. They want to do something.
Like all humans?
Yeah, all humans. Like they want to do something.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say they all want to build stuff, but they all want to find purpose. Yeah,
I guess, that's really what building stuff would mean.
For some, it's like building stuff. That is my purpose. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
For others, it's like, I don't know.
Create the greatest meme of all time.
Yeah, I want to be funny. Like, I want to be a funny lad. I want to make people laugh.
And that's a viable purpose.
Absolutely.
And you can launch a token against that and people can speculate.
Or you could like start a stand-up comic career,
Yeah.
hit up those clubs, open mic nights,
Yeah.
test your purpose regularly. And it's like, nobody laughs, you're fucking up, dude. You're failing.
Yeah.
You're not meeting your purposes. Like,
Yeah, number go down. But then all of a sudden people are starting laughing, and then you're on Netflix, number go up.
Correct. You just gotta finesse your way onto like a Joe Rogan podcast appearance, and
Yeah.
you're on Netflix like the next week.
Right.
That tends to be, it's basically what the market of comedy is these days. It's like,
Yeah.
are you a friend with Joe or not?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, yeah, he's the viability test.
He's literally the viability dictator.
Yeah.
Like, it's if you can make Joe laugh, dude, you're a famous comedian.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty interesting how powerful that man's become, because I remember watching him when he was like a no-name comedian. Nobody gave a flying fuck what Joe Rogan's thoughts were.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
he was a comedian before Fear Factor.
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the way back in his, what's it called? He had a sitcom. Did you know that in the 90s?
Yeah, I did know that. But it was Fear Factor that gave him like a bigger stage.
Oh, for sure.
And then from that, then he started a podcast because Fear Factor
Well,
ended.
he did the UFC commentating, built a reputation there,
Oh, that's true. He did, yeah.
and then just started a podcast. I think like in 2009 or 2011. I started watching in 2012 when I was in college.
Yeah.
And man, it was fucking rough back in those days, dude. It was like shitty. Like the quality of that podcast, and like, yeah, his guest list was literally just like bros that he knew from the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck? Yeah, I was like, who wanted to go onto his podcast? But it was like around like episode, like, I'd say like 150 plus is whenever all of a sudden he started pulling in like interesting guests. Like a Neil deGrasse Tyson showed up at like episode 200.
Yeah.
It was probably like episode like 87 or 115 or something, where Andreas Antonopoulos went on there,
Yeah.
convinced me that Bitcoin is not a scam. It's like something I should be paying attention to, right?
Yeah.
It's like, damn, this guy's fucking smart.
Yeah.
And he sounds like he really like knows something that I don't. I
Yeah.
should look into this.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I did. And I still fumbled the bag
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
Still fucked that up, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy how like the trajectory of things like that just sort of manifests just by being consistent.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's our take on like the whole evolution of memes. They're going to transition to like focusing on creators, and we're adjusting accordingly.
Yeah, because I mean, we have an ecosystem of creators that we have all along been trying our best to support, right? Because
Yeah.
we love Nat Cats, we love Royals, we love seeing the shit that people produce, because we cannot produce anything. We suck.
Yeah, we want to see more of it. Yeah.
We are not artistically inclined. Believe it or not, we are not creative people, actually.
Yeah. We're problem solvers, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
creative.
Yeah, like I couldn't string together a color palette to save my life that like makes any cohesion,
Right.
right? Everything looks like ass.
Yeah.
So, but I like the idea that we could build tools where people like that can come and use them and like make actual crazy shit, like achieve a 10,000x like a Nat Cat did.
Yeah. Super rare.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
We helped do that,
We did.
right? So we want to see more of that. We want to see people coming in, piecing together their 3D abilities like Outer Studios, creating like $1 billion avatar
Hell yeah.
collection.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, right? Or
Yeah.
see
That-
people launching bitmaps.
Yeah, they're so creative, dude.
Who?
Of Outer Studios specifically creating the avatars. You seen them in the Unreal environment? Like
Dude,
all
yeah.
all the Royals,
Yes, they're beautiful. I see
Yeah.
the Royals, the pups that they keep.
the pups. Yeah.
They're amazing, dude. That studio needs to be well monetized.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we need to start launching these DMT 2.0 projects,
Yeah.
and we need to get tokens out there in the market where people can like honor and respect the value of these studios, these teams, whatever. And therefore, like, you know, they have like the power now to like bring these products to market at scale.
Yeah. 100%.
That's what we need to do, right? That way we got interesting things happening again.
Yeah, and the most important thing about what you just said is that it's aligned with the market, right? The market wants to be part of like the up potential, right? So they don't necessarily want to pay for mints or buy tokens from you.
Yeah, in times like now, like there just isn't access to liquidity. Like people just can't fork up thousands of dollars for a mint. Some people can,
Yeah,
but the most of us cannot.
yeah.
but we still want to participate. So if there's a mechanism out there where I don't have to really pay, I either pay nothing or maybe a little something.
Yeah.
But still, I could still be a part of something like magnificent.
I think they're okay with paying. It's just they want to participate on the extreme upside potential.
Yeah, like a Taproot Wizard at like a 0.2 Bitcoin. Like that's the starting.
Yeah, $16,000, $17,000.
Yeah, well, so this thing has to become again like as big as a Bored Ape, where the floor price is like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, which I guess it could achieve. But then at that point, you've achieved what, like a 20, 30,
20x?
40x? Still good. But yeah, like.
Yeah, but what's the likelihood of that?
I don't know. It's rare.
I would say
but I want to
really
be
rare.
I want to be minting Nat Cats and getting a 10,000x. It's obvious.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Hell yeah, dude.
So that's what the market clearly is like shouting at us developers. We want this stuff. Right now, the meme coinery developers have packaged it up properly for us. So therefore, our money go there. Our attention go there.
Yeah.
Right. So all you guys out there who are focused on creators, metaverse, whether it's artists, whether maybe it's music, whatever, you guys need to like properly package all that for us, and we'll show up. That's the assumption we're making.
That's the evidence to support that assumption.
That's the thesis we've drawn up, just covering this space for so long, right?
Yeah.
That's what we see. Maybe we're wrong, but when it comes to like executable decisions and actions we need to take moving forward, that's the best
that's the best play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So just kind of switching subjects here. We interviewed Bob Burnett from Barefoot Mining last week. So definitely watch that interview. I thought it was one of the more interesting interviews that we've had.
Yeah.
Just because he introduced a new angle of like the outcome of Bitcoin, which is essentially countries are going to be specifically mining, having their own rigs supported by the government. And mining their own Bitcoin for the simple purpose to make sure that they can inject transactions within the network.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do this, one country may hold the majority power, right? Hashing power, and they can decide what transactions go in the blocks and what do not. And so if you are a participant within the network by mining transactions, you get to decide what transactions go into the blocks that you are mining. And so if you have 30% of the power, then there's a 30% chance that you will add the next block, which would include your transactions.
Correct.
And so this is like a long-winded way to say block space is going to be the commodity that countries are after.
Right. Like that's the pivot, right? That's the pivot of from the market perspective of like, we discovered like the new narrative that's going to push Bitcoin beyond like, I don't know, like current day trajectory, I guess. Cause it's needed, right? Like, and that's my takeaway is because we were both like, we hadn't even thought of that scenario playing out. So it makes sense that somebody who's like a Bitcoin miner, like literally all they have to think about is like Bitcoin and the future prospects of it, because my whole business like underlines or underpins like the trajectory of this thing.
Yeah. This is a demographic that completely fades altcoins completely, right? So they don't know anything outside of what Bitcoin is.
They have every reason to fade it because, again, it's not like their business is not underpinned in any way.
And by the way, Trump, all the countries in the world are talking about Bitcoin, right? Not altcoins.
Well, what do you mean? Trump just blasted a Trump tweet like recently.
Really? Trump token tweet?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
From Trump's official Twitter account. He's like, I love Trump coin or something like that.
Really? I missed
that. That was the extent of like the substance of that tweet. Didn't really like say anything.
Yeah.
But it wasn't him.
No.
It's like some intern.
Correct.
It's like third cousin.
Yeah.
It's like third degree daughter-in-law or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
you run this Twitter thing.
Yeah. But I'm talking about like in the context of the government acquiring an asset. They're not acquiring Trump tokens.
Not yet, dude. I wouldn't be surprised, dude, if Trump somehow finesses his way in there. But yeah, of course, I get it. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's like, in order for that scenario to play out, I think the thesis is like it has to, because every single wave of Bitcoin requires like a new catalyst, right? Like,
yeah.
2017, there really wasn't like a macro catalyst for Bitcoin. It was just kind of like entering its like.
For Bitcoin, I don't remember, but I know that 2017 was like, my blockchain is better than Bitcoin. That was like the meta.
Right. But Bitcoin achieved like its initial escape velocity. I mean, it was a much smaller market cap requirement, so it didn't need like institutional or
correct
nation state involvement. It was a pure like organic internet just takeover.
It was, yeah.
2017. So
2017 went from 1,000 to 20,000 in the same year.
Correct. Yeah. So I was like, wow, this Bitcoin thing it's working, right? And then fast forward to 2021, then you're starting to see like corporations and like some degree of institutional finance involvement, but like that was the catalyst you needed for the market to like really like amplify.
Yeah, that's when Elon was talking about it.
Yeah, Elon and what's his name? Michael Saylor. Started like So these things were those catalysts. So this cycle, it's like we're not gonna get turned on by corporations or Elons anymore. In fact, turned off by Elon, half of the world.
Yep.
So Elon has no impact anymore. So what's that new catalyst? Oh, country, like in the United States strategic reserve.
Yeah.
It's a big fucking deal. We need that in order to like accelerate this cycle, right? So, all right, next cycle.
Yeah.
What's left, dude? Right?
You need aliens.
You have to perpetuate this game indefinitely in order for the market to like react, right?
Yeah.
So in light of that, you can feasibly extrapolate a thesis the way Bob has. It's like, okay, it's not countries like acquiring Bitcoin as a reserve. It's like some inflection point of realizing block space is really what we want to control. And
yeah, so I agree with what you're saying, but I think there's additional substance to what Bob is saying in the context of imagine the United States actually, considers Bitcoin as a serious asset where they acquire 5 million Bitcoin. So 20% of the supply, right? Well, that's huge.
That is huge.
Huge, right? So now the United States is sitting on 5 million Bitcoin, right? But they take no strategic position on mining the Bitcoin itself, right? So they're not miners at all. China realizes the same thing, but they don't have 5 million Bitcoin, but they control the block space.
Yeah, now they could just say like you can't move around
basically
that Bitcoin you hold, United States, right? We get to determine who moves what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that.
So that's what I was thinking about during the interview. It was like, well, because I was going into the interview with the impressions like, well, the United States needs to consider Bitcoin seriously. They need to acquire 5 million because if they acquire 5 million, no one could ever beat them. No country, nothing, nobody. They've won Bitcoin. Yeah. They've won. But if they're not also mining Bitcoin, then someone else can basically silence them. So now you're talking about an actual cyber war of competition of who mines the actual network.
That's true. That makes a lot of sense. Seems like something like in the context of like a geopolitical like positioning, like that degree of like authority and control over something as valuable as like a network like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's where I'd want to like plant my flags, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that means that then the strategy, now that I understand this, if I'm the United States and I considered Bitcoin seriously, I probably won't acquire 5 million Bitcoin. I'll probably acquire 1 or 2. But the 3 million in theory that I could acquire goes into like creating a sustainable infrastructure to mine Bitcoin.
Jesus. Yeah, if we start to see that, that's definitely like next cycle juices for sure. Like I would assume or predict.
Yeah.
We start to see
it's like a real race of countries mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, and then also like an energy race, right? Where it's like
now, yeah, dude, this is such a good race because let's say countries take this approach, right? Now they're all competing, right? That means every country has an incentive to reduce the electricity consumption and the cost, really. Yeah. So that's like they're investing in fusion energy and like solar panels and they're actually we're on our way to type 2 civilization.
That's good. Jesus.
And it's all because of Bitcoin. Like
that makes a lot of sense.
That's a crazy story.
That is crazy. If and then all of a sudden we could build an entire digital economy around that with DMT. Because
Dude,
all that does is strengthen. Like,
I mean, I want to buy more Nat token right now just after saying that.
yeah, 100%. It's something that's as unbreakable as physics, right? Because imagine trying to disrupt that trajectory, right?
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen.
No way.
If like society is that deeply invested and ingrained on like maintaining this thing,
Yeah.
yeah, like literally, like power projections at stake. Like in the same sense, like yeah, good luck trying to convince any government we should reduce like military spending.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'm sorry, liberals.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.com, dude.
Right.
It's like that is how you establish like order and peace in society, is like maintaining that race over time, right? Just to keep things like,
Yeah.
because once there's like, once things are like more in like an equilibrium state, then it's like powers can shift.
Yeah.
And then we have like serious conflict and
Yeah, once there's an asymmetric difference between one country over another over technology such as AI, fusion, Bitcoin, cyber war, like now you're talking about losing the next 100 years.
Interesting. So yeah, maybe he's right. This is,
man, Jason Lowry is what a Chad.
yeah, we got to get him on here to chat it up, I guess. But yeah, that was cool. So we need to talk to more miners. We got like a little smidget of like an app mentioned to him in there at the very end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the grand takeaway from that is like we need to establish multiple arrays of like how do we inform these miners of what's happening in the context of Nat.
Yeah,
outside of just bringing them on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I think bringing on miners to talk about Nat is probably not the right strategy. I think we need to go on to podcasts to talk about this token.
Yeah, or whatever, right? Or
yeah, or a different strategy. I don't know.
Yeah, but nonetheless, things are happening, lads.
Yeah,
so it should be interesting moving forward.
All right, guys. That's it for us. We talked about a lot of things: pump.fun, funding creators, Nat token, and Bitcoin's cyber war is on its way. Right, we're witnessing this. We're lucky to be alive in this era because this is the most action-packed era throughout entire history.
Yeah,
right. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.